Hey, what's up guys? It's John. Hey, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Line 6 Pod HD 500X, and we're going to be plugging it straight into some real live guitar amps and seeing what kind of settings we need to do to be able to get some really great tones out of it. In this video, we're going to cover using one amp with a mono effects chain. We're going to look at running stereo amps where we split the effects chain left and right. And if you stay till the end of the video, I'm going to show you a bonus trick that you can do with the pod that's pretty cool. So let's check this out. Okay, this setup is going to use one amp and a mono effect chain. First things first, let's get all of our cables plugged in. Okay, so first things first, we're going to plug line into the guitar. Okay, and then for the inputs into the pod here, you can do kind of whatever you want, but I recommend plugging your cables in first before you plug the power cord in. Guitar, make sure that this goes into the guitar in, just like that. For the amp, this first setting we're going to do, we're just doing one amp and we're going mono. So we're going to go into this one here. I'm just going into the left mono for a 1/4 inch out. Okay, and then we're going to plug from the 1/4 inch left mono out of the pod. We're going into the amp. For this first demonstration, I'm using my Roland Jazz Chorus JC50. And then once those are all set, I'm going to make sure that my volume pedal is all the way down, master all the way down. Then I'm going to power it on because I don't necessarily know exactly what's going to come up, and you know, if I forgot to plug a cable in or something, I don't want to boot this thing up and have it blasting sound. Okay, now that all of our cables are plugged in, there's a little bit of tedious, not so fun stuff that we need to do in the menu section on the 500X. So let's take a look at that. Now to access this like utilities setup screen, all you have to do is hold the view button for a couple seconds and then it brings up the menu. Now we can scroll through. There's a bunch of different pages, but we're going to start on page 1. For this first knob, just make sure that your first setting is on the foot switch 5 through 8 mode as opposed to ABCD. 5 through 8. This is going to put us in pedalboard mode so that we're going to be able to use all 8 foot switches to control effects. For more about the difference between pedalboard mode and preset mode, check the video that I made about that. If we scroll through here, we're going to go to this input section. It's the 3rd page in. Now for input 1, just make sure that it's something that says guitar. If you scroll all the way to the left, you get to guitar. And then for input 2, which is this knob, just make sure that it is set for same. If we keep scrolling, we get outputs. In the output section of the setup menu, this is where we can tell the pod like how we're gonna use it, like what are we plugging into. And if you were gonna plug into an amp, Line 6 would want you to use this combo front, or if we scroll, the stack front, if you're using like a half stack or something. But it's really strange. I find that when I use those settings going into a real amp, it really like changes the tone of the guitar. Like it really puts like strange EQing on it, and like the volume kind of drops, and I don't know, I'll admit like maybe I'm just not understanding how to use it. My perspective is that if I don't have any effects or amp models on the pod, I should have a tone that's pretty similar to as if I was plugged directly into an amp. I find that having the output set for the studio direct gives me the most real sound. I just like to do studio direct, and that sounds pretty good. And let's see here, is there anything else we need to adjust? Oh, if we go to the 6th page here, the MIDI and tap tempo, if you use this 3rd knob here, just make sure that the tempo sync is set for global as opposed to preset. It just makes it a little bit easier to use our tap tempo for some of the delays that we're going to use. And I think that's all that we need to worry about here. Alright, good. Just hit view to get back to our main screen. Then if we take a look on the right side of the 500X, right by the volume pedal, this first switch, the guitar in, I'm actually going to use this on pad. This is going to bring down the guitar input level going into the chain, but it's actually going to sound just right as it comes out of the chain. Then XLR doesn't matter because we're not using XLRs. And then the 1/4 inch out, For this, again, you would think that having it set on amp would be where you would want it, but I find that having it on the line setting just gives me a more true tone. So that's where I'm gonna have it. Online, of course, you can mess with these settings however you want on your own. Have at it, but this is just how I'm gonna do it for this video. Okay, now that our settings are all dialed in, let's take a look at the signal chain and all the effects that are in this patch here. So I'll put together this patch for a basic pedal board here, put in a whole array of effects that I feel like are commonly used. This patch is available for download on my website, as well as other patches that I've made. This particular one will be free for you to download. Link is in the description. Follow that and you can load up this patch and you can follow along. Okay, let's see how this sounds. Now I am playing my Gretsch Electromatic. I'm on the neck pickup, and right now I'm going into my Roland Jazz Chorus, my JC50. So this is it with all the effects off. And I'm just going to start throwing on effects and just playing some things so you can get a feel for what this pedal board would sound like going into an amp. So first thing I'll kick on is the compressor. How about some reverb? I'm playing into a jazz chorus, but I'm still going to use the chorus on the pod. And how about a little Memory Man analog delay? Here's the digital delay. And then this is it with Tube Screamer added to it. Let's take a look at the expression pedal here. So right now, if it's on expression pedal 1, it's going to control the volume. Okay, and then if I toe it down, so I push really hard on the front of it, it's gonna kick into expression pedal 2, and that's gonna activate the wah. And it's not gonna control the volume anymore, it's just gonna do the wah. Okay, now let's take a look at using 2 amps, and we're gonna split the signal left-right so we can get a really awesome stereo sound. Now when you're running stereo amps, all you gotta do is just connect another 1/4 inch into the other output, and the other end just plugs into your amp. For my second amp, I'm using a Vox AC30. Now all the settings that we previously set up in the utilities menu, those we're gonna keep all the same. All the switches we're going to keep exactly the same. The change is going to come in the effects chain. So looking down here, we still have all of our effects lined up, but at the end here, I've actually split the chain left and right. Okay, so this is our mono chain. You can see when we get to this mixer area here, there's just the 1. And then here for the stereo, you can see how there's 2. So the way you do that is you select where the amp model would go, you hit move, and it's like you use the directional keys to do it. This is probably how it looks on yours, and then you just hit the right arrow key and it splits it like that, so you see 2, and then you hit move to set them in place. And now what it's gonna do is it's gonna be thinking that there's 2 like outputs, like a left and a right output. And then also what I've done with these effects is I've swapped out the digital delay with a stereo delay, and it's going to be doing this dotted eighth note on the left channel, and then doing quarter notes on the right channel. Now, one important note, whenever using stereo effects like this, make sure that you don't put any effects that are mono after the stereo effects in the signal chain, because what's going to happen is that mono effect is going to then take your stereo signal and make a mono. Okay, let's throw some effects on here. Put on some chorus, some delay, and reverb. Pretty fun stuff. Okay, so far we've looked at using the 500X with 1 amp and a mono effect chain. We've looked at using 2 amps with a stereo effect chain. Now here's like a bonus tip that you can use if you do have 2 amps in kind of a cool way. Now what we can do is we can actually do like an A-B split, where we can have 2 amps but use just 1 at a time and create 2 presets, so that with 1 preset, we're using just the jazz chorus. Switch to the other preset and it's gonna swap, and we're gonna use just the AC30. Now this can be really useful if you're playing a gig and maybe you want to have 1 amp that's more of your clean tone amp, and then you want to have another amp that you use more dirty and use it for doing leads and all that kind of stuff. So the way that we can do this is if we go into our view, these past chains have all been in the pedalboard mode, foot switch 5 through 8. Now we're just going to take this first knob, just spin it till you see A, B, C, D. And this is going to put us in preset mode. And again, for the difference between pedalboard mode and preset mode, check out the video that I made talking about that. Otherwise, we're going to leave everything else, all the other settings how they are, hit view to get back to this. Now I've created 2 presets and I've saved them, and now just by using these buttons down here I can swap between the 2. And what I've done is in this mixer slot here I've made the first preset to be panned all the way 100% left for both A and B, and then in the other preset I did the opposite, so I made it pan all the way right for A and B. And because I'm utilizing preset mode, I adjusted some of the effects that I'm using for each preset to better suit the amp that I'm going to use that preset with. So, for example, this is using just the jazz chorus. This is like a clean tone that could be used. And then if I wanted to do like a big lead or something, then I could switch to my other preset, and then it's going to turn off the JC, and I'm going to go all Vox AC30. So you can see there how by utilizing 2 different presets, panned left and right respectively, we can then control which amp we want to use. Alright guys, that's all I have for you. Just wanted to show you kind of some basic settings to get you going, playing your 500X into an amp. So check out in the description, there's a link where you can download that first mono patch that I made. If you like the video, subscribe if you haven't, and catch you in the next one. See ya.